Welcome to the Get to the Root podcast, where we build your health from the ground up. At Root Functional Medicine, we're on a mission to bring sustainable and validated functional medicine to the world. As a team of doctors and dietitians, we are dedicated to treating gut health, hormones, autoimmune conditions, and metabolic health at the root cause through advanced testing, food as medicine, and telehealth programs. For years, we've been helping people get to the root of their health concerns. Now, we're here to share our knowledge so you can benefit too. Stay tuned and join us as we get to the root.
Welcome back to Get to the Root, the podcast where we dig deep into the real causes of health issues and uncover what it truly takes to heal. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Armstrong, a functional medicine physician and founder of Root. Today, I have an incredible guest joining me, one of our very own Root members, Lindsay. Her story is nothing short of transformational. After years of struggling with autoimmune systems, medications that seemed to pile up rather than solve the problem, she started searching for another way to support her health. Through functional medicine, personalized testing, and a root cause approach, Lindsay not only saw her symptoms improve, she was able to safely discontinue all of her autoimmune medications. And today, she's here to share how she did it, what she learned along the way, and how this experience changed her life. If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle of chronic illness or just feeling unwell, this episode will give you hope, insight, and maybe even the inspiration to take your own next step toward healing. Let's get started. Welcome, Lindsay. So first, we want to learn a little more about you. What's something that you love to do outside of your health journey?
Hi there. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I have had nothing but super positive experiences with Root and can't wait to share those. So I have three boys, a husband and three boys. And so outside of functional medicine, our life is fun and crazy and full of sports and music and all the normal family things. Something that I enjoy doing with my family is we snow ski a lot. That tends to be like our family activity, and we enjoy being outside. And while most people go to the warmth and a beach on spring break, we tend to head to the mountains and more snow, but it's something we really enjoy, and it keeps us active. So that's something that we put a lot of our time and effort into outside of just normal everyday life.
So great to have a family activity that everyone can enjoy that's active.
It is. Yes,
Thank you for sharing
absolutely.
that.
Especially an active one.
So what initially led you to seek out Root, and how was your experience different from the way that traditional healthcare approaches you had tried before?
Yeah. So I had, for probably a couple years, been having a lot of thyroid issues. So I had been diagnosed with the Hashimoto's and hypothyroid, and I had had that probably for 4 years, something like that. And I got to a point in my life where I think I was hormonally changing, and my thyroid, I just could not get it into a healthy state. And I was going to just a normal doctor at the time, like a family medicine doctor, and they just kept checking my TSH and saying, your TSH is really high or your TSH is really low. And I was on like either a ton of thyroid medicine, or they dropped me way down because they were like, oh my goodness, you're hyperthyroid now, and you were hypo, and your bone density, and you're gonna cause so much long-term damage. And so I got kind of tired of never really being balanced in that. So I switched family doctors, and then one of the family doctors that I switched to, I had mentioned my thyroid's like a mess and I just cannot seem to get it stabilized. And she was great about it. She said, I think you need to look into root functional medicine, because she goes, it goes so much deeper than what I can like test or touch right now. She's like, I think this is not just a thyroid issue. And so that was helpful, because I was like, okay, that is great, because I'm starting to go insane feeling like I'm never going to get this thyroid stabilized. And when you've had it stabilized in the past and then it's not stabilized for a period of time, like you feel terrible, like the fatigue and like the hair loss, and you're freezing cold, but then you have like heart palpitations like crazy. And I felt so far from myself that it was like, I've got to get control of this. And on top of that, just from my past, I also had a pretty aggressive form of rheumatoid arthritis that I had been dealing with. Shortly after I had my third child, I ended up with just some insane joint pain to the point where I couldn't get out of bed a lot of mornings. And so I had also kind of dealt with that. And so having a thyroid that was kind of spinning out of control, and my rheumatoid arthritis was stable at the time, but it still I wasn't a high functioning person with it. I would still say I had two autoimmune diseases that were very apparent, and I couldn't figure out how I was going to get out of that hole, I guess. And on top of that, I entering my 40s, early 40s, when I think a lot of women deal with some of the perimenopause symptoms starting to happen and your body's starting to kind of spin into that. So I had a lot going on, kind of like a perfect storm. And so my family medicine doctor, which I love her to death for having referred me and for being able to say, this is too much for me. So you need to go see Root. They're going to be able to help you figure this out because it's just, there's too much tied in, like intertwined with each other. Like we need to start pulling this web apart and trying to figure out where this is all coming from. So that's in a nutshell why I was like, I think I got on the website like literally the next day and was like, okay, here we go. I'm signing myself up. Like, I'm going to, next appointment I can find, done. So it was a quick decision for me, a quick and wonderful decision.
It probably felt good to have the next step after, all that time kind of struggling and not figuring out the right next step. And we love the holistic PCP who recognized that maybe a functional medicine specialist would be helpful here. So
yes, she was just like the can't
Lindsay's
do it.
PCP as well.
Yes, yeah, thank you to my PCP. Yeah, she was great with it. And yeah, like I said, I was like so excited after she told me about it because I felt so awful. I was like, where is this website? I need to sign up right now. So yeah, I think I literally signed up like the next day.
Yes. So when you did start with Root, some of the initial things we do are some advanced testing. So did you do that advanced testing? And if so, what kind of insights did you gain about your health that you had not discovered before?
Yeah. So the advanced testing was really great because so often what I have found, even with my PCP is, okay, you're feeling like you have thyroid issues. Let's test your thyroid. And then, okay, we're going to do a blood panel once a year when we kind of do like your annual physical. And then, oh, you know what? We probably should test your ferritin or your iron levels because you're feeling some fatigue. But it's this very like disjointed experience, and nothing against them. It's just their caseload is so high, and you're coming in telling them like, okay, here's how I feel. And I knew enough to say, okay, I probably should have this tested or this tested or this tested. But I didn't know enough to have everything tested and really take a holistic view of it. And so that's where Root was really helpful because I got in pretty quickly, was able to have my first appointment. And then obviously the first appointment, they're like, okay, we're going to sign you up to do like the full massive blood panel, which you have blood panels done before with an annual physical, but nothing like this because this deep dives on like vitamins and minerals that you're missing. And it helps to see patterns that your body's creating. And so having kind of like the advanced blood draw was really helpful. And then like the report you get back from it. I mean, oh my goodness, there were so many things that I was like going through. And the nice thing is, there's your red flags, there's your green flags, there's your yellow flags. And I had quite a few red flags. And I had done a lot of blood testing before. So it wasn't something, I was familiar with it. But that was a really great experience for me because it laid it all out in one area. And my Dr. Sam, was able to even put in hormone levels in there and add a few things onto the advanced testing, which was great. So when I got it back, yeah, we were like, wow, my thyroid is like a mess. And then my hormone levels were also a mess. And that's, again, something that my PCP wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Like they are taught to just do birth control. And I think part of why my thyroid was such a mess was because my hormones were such a mess, because my body is changing with now becoming 40. And so I would have known that. And it was things even like my vitamin D. I've always struggled with low vitamin D. My vitamin D was really low, and so low that the doctor was like, okay, we've got to get you on like a high powered vitamin D right away. My thyroid wouldn't have been able to stabilize with my vitamin D so low. And then, so it's like, there were so many things on there where it was like, well, no wonder like I'm feeling this way. And no wonder my thyroid is having problems. And no wonder I'm still having like rheumatoid arthritis flares and different things like that. And that's what this panel did for me. It pretty much, it's like having a full body scan and saying, hey, here's some of the deficiencies, which then are causing your body to spin out of control with some of these other large factors. So with autoimmune disease, it's created usually by deficiencies. And I couldn't correct the autoimmune disease without having things like vitamin D and CoQ10 levels stabilized. There's just no way. My body, it was so depleted that it couldn't right its ship because there were so many things missing. And that's what that full panel did for me. It allowed me to have the whole picture, and then, such as the name, get to the root cause of things and make some decisions on what supplementation I could use that then would almost like calm my body down. My body was just like, I think it was dealing with a lot of inflammation, and it needed to just be calmed. And I think that I had the autoimmune, I had some gut issues, and had I not known about some of the smaller deficiencies, I wouldn't have been able to move forward very well.
Yes, you did a great job explaining about how we put the picture together and how different body systems affect one another. And you're absolutely right that hormone imbalances affect the thyroid, and they are related to autoimmune conditions. So by removing some of the inflammatory things that were found and replacing the nutrients that you needed to heal, and then helping to rebalance the hormones, those were some of the key parts that I'm hearing from you now. How did your personalized treatment plan, whether through nutrition or supplements or certain lifestyle changes, start addressing the root cause of your condition?
Yeah, so one of the things that was really great about my plan is right away we're able to address a hormonal imbalance pretty quickly. So my body had very little progesterone in it, which the thyroid needs progesterone, and rheumatoid arthritis, it definitely thrived off of having no progesterone in my body, nothing to like calm my body down. And so we were able to start with some progesterone supplementation, which made a huge difference for me, and a huge difference just in my sleep quality too. Like, I was no longer the 3 a.m. wake up girl constantly. And then just some of the vitamin deficiencies, like, you don't realize how big of an impact those have, such as like the zinc, the CoQ10, the vitamin D. Like, I was low on a lot of those, and iron, ferritin. I've always kind of struggled with that too. There were a lot of them that I was either extremely low on, where I was like teetering, and being able to bring those up within a couple months after recognizing the numbers were so far off, it made such a difference in then being able to stabilize like the rheumatoid arthritis and the thyroid. And so Dr. Sam did a really good job of saying, okay, she's like, we have a lot going on here, and we need to kind of unwind it, but we're going to start with the few things that I know are going to kind of have like an immediate impact on you. And if we start with some of these things, then give it like 6 months time, then we should be able to like revisit the thyroid and the arthritis a little bit more extensively. And that was the best part about it, because I did feel like an immediate relief from the plan that she gave me. Like, it was like, oh, I feel better. I feel like I'm a higher functioning human being now. But she didn't overwhelm me either, because I had a lot going on. And so she just was like, here's like 4 things we're going to kind of focus on. And then from there, we're going to look at the thyroid. And from there, we're going to look at the RA. And then after that, we'll kind of swing through and see again, like how the fatigue's doing and that sort of stuff. So she did a really good job of putting a plan together, but not saying, here's your 75 supplements and we're going to get you fixed up here in 30 days and out the door you go kind of thing. She said, this is complicated and we need to take our time on it. But I did feel so much better within 30 to 60 days. And we were in a stressful point of time in life. We had just bought a house. We were gutting it. We had 3 boys in football at the time and a husband who was coaching, and we had just bought a business. So we had a lot going on in life. So to be able to come into that feeling like I was starting to thrive was huge for me.
I love that you shared that. I think a lot of people wonder if they can do it. I think it's one of the hesitations for starting on a functional medicine journey because they have too much going on right now, or maybe they should just wait until after this big work thing, or after they move, or after, vacation. But if you keep doing that, really, you'll kind of wait forever. And
yes,
your story proves that you can do it and you can feel better even with all of this going on. I mean, that was so much that you had going on at the time. So yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. And I think you have to you only have one life to live, right? And I feel like you want to feel the best you possibly can. And life's going to throw stuff in there. And your health is going to, one thing I've learned is that my health will be really, really great for 6 months. And then it might take a dip just depending on what's going on and the stress level and even sometimes the weather and all these different factors that are out of our control. I viewed it as, with the amount of stress we had going on, I wouldn't have made it had I not been in functional medicine at that time, because I really think my mental health would have just completely taken a hit, because I felt like there was hope and I was starting to feel better and I was starting to sleep better. So even though I was stressed out, had I not taken the opportunity to fix it, even though life was crazy, I think I would have just ended up in a really anxious, depressed state about how I was feeling.
That's really interesting that functional medicine helped your mental health, even though that wasn't, one of your original symptoms that you had mentioned.
Yes. And I see that a lot just in the work I do now too. There's so much mental health that I think can be fixed through functional medicine, and we just aren't aware of it.
Yes, that is a great point. And we talk about that at Root too, how medications can be helpful for some people and counseling is really important to do. But in the middle between conventional and counseling is there's still a root cause there, whether that's inflammation or nutrient deficiencies or hormonal imbalances or, the gut-brain connection or, retraining the limbic system and the stress response and cortisol. Those are very important things to fix for both short-term and long-term success. Yes.
For sure. And I think that's a thing that we when we think of functional medicine, we think of feeling better and eating our fruits and vegetables. But really, I think that it can balance our brain so much more than we even really know. And it helps just smooth out the anxiety or the depression or the overwhelmed feelings I think that we can get, especially as women. I think especially as women whose hormones are starting to kind of go on a roller coaster. I'm, in my 40s, and I have most of my friends in their 40s too. So I can tell who's really struggling with their mental health, just with hormones and stuff. And so I think that functional medicine, it goes so much deeper than just saying, hey, I need a balanced thyroid. It's I need to be a whole person again. Help me, please. So
yes, that is a big core of functional medicine, is looking at how body systems are connected. And I'm so glad you recognize that. So I want to switch gears just a little bit as we were talking about some of the autoimmune conditions. And one of the biggest challenges for people with autoimmune conditions is, kind of the reliance on medications. Conventional medicine doesn't have another great answer rather than, different, very expensive, sometimes autoimmune medications. And you were able to come off of all of them. Can you kind of talk about what your experiences was like and how you were able to transition off of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was on some medication for my thyroid. I was on 3 different medications for my RA. And, I had to use them to get my body into it was like in a fight or flight zone. So I say that saying that these medications at the time when I did have to use them, they were helpful for a short period of time. But then I quickly discovered that the side effects of them were just awful. Like I dealt with a ton of fatigue, to the point where I felt like I wasn't even like mentally thinking straight. Like there were times where I get in the car driving and I'm like, should I be driving right now? I am so tired. And a lot of these medications are even used in like chemotherapy and some pretty serious protocols. And so one of the things I wanted to do is again get to the bottom of what was going on in my body, because I knew it was like these autoimmune diseases kind of pop up out of nowhere, and mine were both like kind of they were aggressive. Like I was fine one day, the next day it was like, whoa, where did this come from?
Mm.
And so I knew that if I could get to the bottom of it, that I could get myself in more of like a remission state because of just the way they came on. It's like I know there's something missing or there's something wrong here. And the conventional doctors just wanted to treat the autoimmune. They wanted to like just pretty much calm my immune system down from attacking myself. But one of the things at Root, again, we were able to take a look at was the things like the vitamin D, the zinc, the hormone balance had a huge piece in it. And once we started to unwind all of it, and again, and it took a while, it took, probably 6 to 9 months to like stabilize everything. But once you start saying, okay, my vitamin D is so low that I have hardly any vitamin D in my body. Like that's a big deal. So let's start by bringing that up. And then all of a sudden you discover, oh, I actually have a little bit more energy now. Okay, I'm not like feeling like I'm getting sick all the time. And it's those little things that you just start to like build those blocks up. And then, same with zinc, same with iron. And then going from like not having hardly any progesterone in my body to then stabilizing that number was huge too, because progesterone just calms the inflammation and the pain and the anxiousness in the body. And so using those building blocks, I still remember I was on Enbrel at the time, and those injections, they're like weekly injections. And oh, they were the worst. Kind of feels like you're having like a cigarette put out on your body. They
Oh, wow.
burn terribly. And I would just avoid them. Like, I was probably supposed to do a shot around noon every Monday or something and be like, Monday at 5 p.m. And I'm like, oh, I still need to do this. So that was not something I wanted to be doing the rest of my life. I didn't want to be one having to take that medication the rest of my life. And I also it just didn't seem like a good, healthy, long-term decision. So once Dr. Sam and I got to the bottom of stuff and started like building those blocks back up of help, I all of a sudden, I remember having like a week where I was like, I've had like no RA pain, like at all. And I was in a place where I had to wear, like, I couldn't even wear like normal shoes because my feet would hurt so bad, and trying to like get kids to school and everything. And I have to like sit there and try to decide, like, okay, what is the loosest, easiest shoe for me just to slip on and walk around in right now? So to go from that to be like, oh, wow, I have had no pain for a week, and I've had such little pain that I'm just now noticing it because I was able to just like function. And so it took a while, took 6 to 9 months, but in the end, we were able to like work off of all the medication and then stabilize the thyroid with some natural options. And yeah, I was able to say goodbye to all those medications. And it really just took getting my body to balance itself. And then it was almost like the autoimmune disease calmed down. Like it was like the storm was leaving my body, and therefore the autoimmune was like, okay, I don't have to signal her as much. I'm not having to like kick up as much. Like I felt like my body had come to like a restful place. And so then, yeah, I made the decision to go off the medications. I would say my conventional rheumatologist was not super excited about that. But my last appointment, he was like, "You're doing really, really well." And he's like, "I would consider you like in remission now." And that was a big deal because I was in, that lobby with a lot of like 85-year-olds who were having rheumatoid arthritis. And I remember sitting there thinking, I cannot have this for the next 40 years of my life. Like that's super scary.
Yes. That is a huge deal.
Huge
Congratulations,
deal. Yeah.
Lindsay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. What are some of the biggest kind of aha moments you had when you were working with Root, whether it was from testing or nutrition or lifestyle changes or the protocols? Was there something that really stuck out to you? I know you gave us so many good tidbits of that you learned so far.
Yeah. I think one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I can I can see it and I can hear it in so many women nowadays. And I know we're talking to men and women about functional medicine, but Dr. Stam was so amazing with the hormone piece. I really feel like that was such an integral part of the balancing my body. And when I talk to friends or other women about things that they're going through, I can always hear the hormone piece in their speak. Like I can see it and I can hear it in them and I can hear like they're suffering and it's this piece that they're unsure of what to do about and they don't even necessarily know that it's hormones because hormones are they're an art, right? They're a dance. They take a lot of studying and understanding. It's not like you're not just fixing something easily. It's a constant understanding of them, which is why it's so important to have somebody who understands hormones. And that is one thing that I've noticed that probably in 90% of my conversations with women around how they're feeling or around what they're going through, whether that be physically or mentally. Like I even had a friend the other day just say, I look at myself and I don't like myself anymore. I don't even know who I am. And again, we've all had those moments. But what that signaled to me is I think your hormones are just completely out of whack and you're just in survival mode right now, but you don't know. No one knows and no one teaches you this stuff. And so that's been my biggest takeaway having been with Root for as long as I have and having balanced myself really well and feeling healthy. And like I said, I'm in my 40s. There's going to be weeks where I feel amazing and then there's going to be weeks where again like your whole family's homesick and you're barely surviving. So I'm not immune to the fact that I will be up and down too. But that is the biggest thing I see in women today is they're struggling with hormones and they're going and getting pellets put into their body or not doing blood draws or not having somebody really take like an extensive look at it. And they're just struggling. They're struggling mentally and physically and emotionally big time.
Yes, Lindsay, that is so insightful. And thank you for sharing that important
Yeah.
lesson. And that hormones change and
Mhm.
it is a journey. So and you've kept up with it and balanced and you've been very insightful. We haven't talked a lot about your professional background, but could you tell the audience a little bit about what your professional life looks like?
Yeah. So I am a human resources director right now for, I guess, lack of a better term, my husband. My husband and I, we own three different businesses together. He's kind of a serial entrepreneur, like loves business and building them, buying them and building them up. And I have a human resources background. I used to be a college relations recruiter. And so I would go to all these different college campuses and recruit individuals for different roles in like finance and sales and manufacturing. And so it was a super fun job, super fun age group to work with, and then transitioned just from college recruiting into just normal recruiting. And then from there have supported what our family does just in human resources, which means now I kind of dive a little bit more into the health insurance world and, you know, vacation time and HSA and kind of unwinding just the benefits and comp of your workforce. And we have most of our companies are in manufacturing. So I deal with a lot of individuals in manufacturing. So that's been kind of fun to go from college age students to the manufacturing workforce. Like I feel like I've gotten to like meet and see a lot of different people in a lot of different stages of life and work environments.
You have such a unique background between your personal functional medicine experience and then your professional life and the things and the way that people are dealing with health in the workplace. Do you see any ways that functional medicine could be helpful for the workplace in improving employee health and even controlling healthcare costs?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we just got done with like a full healthcare workup because healthcare costs are outrageous right now. They're insane. And we're not really seeing an end to the climb quite yet. We're hoping that they will stabilize eventually, but like I think there was about a 30% climb for just individuals, self-employed individuals. And then our healthcare was going to go up about 14% for the year 2025, which is just insane. It's insane. And so we worked with a great insurance company and were able to kind of like figure a lot of those things out. And the reason we were able to kind of figure things out is because they did like a full health assessment of our companies and the people working for us. And they were healthy enough where we were able to drop into a better rate. And that was one thing. This is the first time I had ever done anything like that this year. And that was huge because one, we're in manufacturing. So it was like, I'm not quite sure where we're going to land here on the health meter. And then two, the fact that we're costing the healthcare companies a lot less money, which means in the end, functional medicine is the one and only ways that we're going to be able to manage these healthcare costs is catching these things, these diseases before they become full-blown diseases and catching our mental states before we end up needing a massive amount of testing and prescriptions for, the depression and the anxiety and the ADHD and all that. And not to say that those don't all exist and need intervention on different levels, but functional medicine is the only way to calm the body, to be able to understand what's really happening. And we're still going to have all the major diseases too, but functional medicine is either going to slow or stop us from getting those. One of the big things I think we see in the workforce, just in general, and I don't care whether you're in manufacturing or you're in technology, is mental health is huge. There's a lot of people really, really struggling with it. And I think it comes down to deficiencies and nutrition. And people just don't understand that, right? They don't have access to that. Their doctor's saying, okay, well, your blood pressure looks good and your liver's functioning great. Like, come back next year and we'll do another workup on you. But I think that they're actually quite sick inside and don't know it and don't know what's wrong with them. And then they're just struggling, whether that be with a pain or, like I said, like a mentally. And I think functional medicine, although it takes some time and effort, functional medicine is not an easy like 1-2 fix. You're going to end up in such a better place.
Sure. I mean, prevention is going to be so important. It already is. And just the ability to connect the brain and the body, as you said, correct imbalances. For doctors to have those tools, but also the education and mindset, and really the model of care is what enables us to take that deeper dive to be able to uncover some of those root causes. And like you said, you may have some really simple things that have just been undiagnosed, like vitamin D deficiency that could get a quick win. And then other steps, might be more difficult, but definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And so to wrap up our episode, now that you've made all these great changes and seen these results, what advice would you give to someone considering this journey for themselves?
Yeah, I think I would encourage them to take it. I would encourage them to give it the time and calm that it needs. Like one of the things when I started this journey, I thought to myself, okay, I want to be healthy, and I want to be healthy for like the next 40 years of my life. Like I really want to be so kind to myself, and I want to stop ragging on myself and why do I feel this way, and annoyed with myself. And that was one thing that I think Root almost gave me permission to do with the testing, and hey, there's a lot going on here. So let's just take it piece by piece. And I think I learned to slow myself down, think things through a little bit more, even what I'm putting in my mouth, how I'm speaking to myself. And I think part of it is taking this journey is like a journey, and you're going to feel so much better, but you have to allow yourself time and kindness to move through that. Like God created you in a beautiful way, and we just have to be able to, our bodies know what to do. They just need a little help along the way. And so I think having that opportunity to not feel like I had to have a quick fix, or I need to do something about this, or I'm feeling so crappy in this way. Like I felt very, very frantic.
Mhm.
And the root journey brings that just down a bit and allows you to look at things holistically, slow it down, love on yourself a little bit, and be willing to spend the money and time and effort, because you're worth it. You really are.
Yes, I love that. Giving yourself the time and space and support that you need to heal,
Mhm.
and being kind and patient with yourself along that journey. That is really, really great advice, Lindsay. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining me today. Your story is nothing short of inspirational, and I hope that others listening will also believe that they can do this too. And I know you've inspired many people with sharing your story. So thanks again, Lindsay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to you and to Root Functional Medicine.
Thanks for tuning in to the Get to the Root podcast. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with someone who might benefit, and leave us a review. For more resources and to connect with us, visit rootfunctionalmedicine.com. Remember, your health journey starts with understanding the root cause. Join us next time.